Hey everyone, Quentin's here. Today I'm gonna modelize a stamp in Houdini that I'm gonna 3D print so that I can custom my face mask. Here we go. I'm gonna drop down a geometry node that I'm gonna call stamp, and I'm gonna dive right in it. So first element, I'm gonna need what's gonna be the text, the stamp, the thing that I want to stamp on my mask, and that's going to be made of two things. It's going to be some text in the middle, so I'll drop font 1, turn it by 90 degrees in X, and the text is going to be 2020 up. Now that I have my text, I'd like to draw a heart around because I really love this here. And to do this, I'm gonna use a draw curve. Let's drop it right there, highlight it, and I'm gonna put my font as a template to see what I'm doing. My draw curve is gonna be in the X and Z direction. Let's change this, and I'm gonna draw it. Yep. Beautiful. Once I've done this line is full of points. Let's simplify it with a resample node. And it's going to be like 1.2 in length. That's good. Let's now resample it once more. That simplifies it. Smooth. And I'm going to put it as subdivision curve. Boom. Now all I have to do is clip it in the x-axis to get rid of the piece going in the x negative, and then just drop mirror node. X-axis, that's perfect. Let's look closer to it. It looks good. Here at the bottom I have a few points that are closer together. Maybe I can get rid of those with a fuse node. Up. Good. And now that I have a line, I'd like to have some width, so I'm going to put a poly extrude node. Let's have like 0.16, and this is the base of my heart. Now I'm gonna get my font, my poly extrude. Let's merge them together. Up, up. And let's extrude it once more. Up, let's say 2. And that's, I'm gonna output a back to have something closed. Let's put a null, and this is our stamp face. So we have our stamp face. Let's build its backbone. I don't want a shape to be any bigger than it needs to be, so I'm gonna first find out what's the size of this stamp face with a bound, and this bound is just gonna be a rectangle. Up, and this rectangle is gonna have some padding, not much, let's say 0.5. And now what I'm gonna do with this bound, I'm gonna resample it to have a bunch of points, maybe not that much. Need. And I'm gonna use a ray node to project those points to the face. Up, let's use on the ray, we're gonna move the point and it's gonna be minimum distance beam, so that's pretty good on most of the side except around here. And then I'm gonna tell it to, maybe you can lift it a little bit. That's gonna work. Yeah, that's good enough. That's gonna be the back, and I'd like this to be a little bit bigger. Let's go for, I'm gonna say 0.5 up, and then that's gonna be stamp back up. Voila. Now that we've done this, what I'd like to do is see what the two together looks like, but my stamp face is still on the ground, and if I just merge those two together, well, it's in it. So I need to move the stamp face up enough so that it rests just on top of my stamp back. And to do this, it's going to be a simple transform. And by how much do I want to transform it in the Y direction? By how much I've extruded it in the poly extrude here. So let me copy this parameter and paste the relative reference there, and voila, it's perfectly on top of it. You can see that I don't have a back for my stamp back. I'd like one, please. Output back. And why is that? Because I'd like to make a handle for my stamp, but I'd like this handle to be separated for printing purposes. So we can say after this merge that this is our stamp front up, and I'm gonna work on the handle. What is the handle gonna look like? Well, first I'm gonna need a base with a tube up, and this tube. I've already made myself a little preset to get a tube that's just resting on the ground up. Just copying this parameter and dividing it by 0.5 in the Y direction. This one is going to be pretty simple. I'd like to have a few faces, because what I'm going to do right now is carve the base of the handle into my stamp front. And I'd like to have a few corners this way. I like it this way, that's all. So I've made a shape. How big do I want this shape to be? Well, it doesn't have to be bigger than the stamp back, otherwise it's gonna pierce through. So its value is gonna be equal to my stamp back minus 1 millimeter. And this tube, I'm gonna subtract it from my stamp back with a Boolean subtract. Put it there, put it there. Let's check it. Seems to have worked directly. That's pretty nice. And now that I have this base, I'm gonna work on the handle. It's gonna be another tube. This one is gonna be also resting in the y-axis. just on the ground. This tube is gonna be way smaller, like 0.25, 6 millimeter in diameter. That should be enough for me. And this tube, I'd like for it to rest on top of the base, so let's get a transform, and it's gonna be transformed by that much. Up. No, it's on top of my base. Renaming stuff is always a good idea. Now that I've transformed it, I'm gonna shape the handle, and that's gonna be based on just this face number 0. Let's get a poly extrude. Up on 0, I'm gonna extrude it like 1 centimeter, and let's get some inset as well. 0.45. And now I'm gonna create a group from the front, make another poly extrude. Extrude front, and it's gonna be, let's say, another centimeter with a bunch of division, because I'm gonna shape it in a round end. And to do this, I'm gonna change its spine. To do this, I'll go into spine control, and under spine shape, I say I want something curved. And look at this, we have the thickness ramp here. What happened when I move the parameter? That looks like what I want to do, but I don't want a cat-mill-rom interpolation. B-spline, that's my guy. Whoop. Yeah, something like this. The more I work on something, yeah, that's gonna be good enough. Up. No, I'd like to merge, or actually you make only one piece out of my base and my handle. So let's use a Boolean union to do that. Up, that, and that. I'm gonna drop a divide node just to make sure the lines are connected. I don't know, my printer seems to appreciate this courtesy. And that's gonna be null handle. So here I have my handle, and here I have my stem front. Let's look at them together. Yep. Well, obviously I'll need to turn my stamp handle to see it well, so let's move it. I can actually do it. I could either just rotate it like this, but then I'm not sure the pieces are gonna fit well. It's just to see what it will look like. It's gonna be something like this. Yeah, looks like a stamp. Good. But I don't want to see it like this, because I'm not gonna render an image out of it. I'm just gonna export it to turn it into a print. And to do this, well, my stem front is good. What I want to do is move this handle. So by how much do I want to move it. I'm gonna move it towards the X, up. And let's drop a null here. And that's gonna be my stamp. Hooray! We built something that technically can evolve depending on what you type and if you do stuff. Let's see, like if I add a bunch of text, yeah, it changed the shape of the base. That's cool. Let's try something else. For example, I have somewhere an image that's just black and white, like this symbol. Well, I can just go and get it with a trace node. Up, where you at? 3D print. Up. And with a trace node, I can get the shape within Houdini. Let's change a few filters. Let's remove the border. There is hole in the face. Let's transform it. Turn it like up. -90. And scale it up. Like say, ah, no, I want to do a stamp with this shape. Well, all we have to do is up, plug it there, and if I did it well, hey, automatically now I have a stamp with this shape on, and a back that's not too big. That's cool. But that's not what I want to print right now. I want to print my 2020 love. And before I do this, so the base of our setup is made. Now I'm just gonna tune a few things. Some are print related, other are more aesthetic. One thing that's print related is the shape of this hole and the shape of this piece is exactly the same. There is no tolerances, and I'm not really that good right now with 3D printing that I can print without any tolerances. I don't think that can work. So I'm gonna make the hole slightly bigger just to assure that I can fit the handle. And even if it's a bit too big, I don't care. It's gonna be glued on. So all I need to do is this shape. I need to make it slightly bigger before using it to subtract from the back of my stamp. I'm just going to use a transform. Hey, come back. Put a transform here, and I'm going to say it's going to be in X and Z slightly bigger. You can see slightly bigger. And so now the hole in my stamp is a bit bigger, and I have room, maybe even a bit too much. I'm feeling lucky. I'm just gonna put 0.05. So that's one thing. What else can I do? Although I've made the back in the shape of my stamp to not have too much empty space, it's still a bit of mass. I'd like to add some bevel to it. So let's do this. That's a bevel on what? On my stamp back. And when am I gonna do it? I'm gonna do it before the boolean because it's gonna be easier. So after this poly extrude, and it's gonna be on the front face and to know which one is the front face, I'm gonna use a front group. Let's put a bevel up, extruded front, whoop. Up. Yeah. That's good. What else? I'm gonna do the same thing also on the text, just slightly, because I can. That's gonna be, well, same thing. Once I've extruded it in the height, let's create a group, put a bevel after it, up, extruded front. Oop, if I don't see what I'm doing. Let's tell him to ignore flat edges. No need for him to make anything here. Yep, that's too much. Look at the text, it gets all flat. It's a get all pointy, sorry. Yeah, just like this. Yep, cool. So I have this. I have my stamp. Well, let's export it. Save geometry. Where are you gonna save it? In my stamp folder, and it's gonna be called stamp 2020 01 .obj. And you know what? I'm saving it, but I know that there is still one thing that I need to do if I want this stamp to work, and that is mirror the text, otherwise it's gonna be stamped the wrong way. So let's go up, and that's gonna be after my font. Let's just put a transform here and say that in the x-axis it's gonna be -1, whoop, and -1, no, -1 in x, good. And after that, because now the face is facing downward, I'm gonna put a reverse. Zoop. And now it should print the right way. Let's export it again. Save geometry. Okay. And I'm gonna use Cura for my export. Okay. Here's a print. I had to reprint the handle a second time because I didn't give enough space for the two-piece, couldn't fit it in, and ended up breaking it. So that's gonna need some tuning. But cool, we have our print. It's regular PLA, don't have any other material so far. But let's try it. I have some Chinese ink. Let me drop some on a piece of felt I've put in a box. This is gonna be my stamp. And get a mask. I already tried a little bit. I've printed another one yesterday, first try, and now let's try this one. So I'll put some ink on it. Looks okay. Maybe I'll need to let's see. That's maybe good enough. Nice. For the first try, kinda like it. Well, that's definitely something you can do with Houdini. Yeah. I'll have to tune the technique. I like it. So anyway, that's a fun thing you can do.